Bulletcast for life.
Get up! This is a revolution! This is our time to rise! Look deep within your mind.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? You know the name, you know the voice, you know exactly why I'm here, just in case if you don't. I'm the microphone Messiah, Phillip Brandon, joined by the Canadian Destroyer, BT Brandon Changuma. We are here to recap the week that was in wrestling, a fallout from SummerSlam, what happened with AEW down in Mexico, and all that and more. Brandon, what's going on, man?
What's up, everyone? Hopefully, everyone's doing well as we turn to August. Summer's winding down, unfortunately. SummerSlam's in the rearview mirror. All In's on the horizon. Still got stuff to talk about.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But we have to start off with some very sad news. Unfortunately, the legendary Dory Funk Jr. has passed away at the age of 85 years old. Yeah, it's a sad one, man. Dory Funk Jr., obviously a legend. The newer school fan I'm sure doesn't know, but hey, man, this guy was a real deal. I mean, obviously we know his brother Terry Funk and everything that he did, but hey, Dory Funk was one of them hitters too, man. His career started in 1963, and he finally retired in 2024 because obviously he had that most recent match over in Japan, I believe. But yeah, man, I mean, the list is endless. 2009 WWE Hall of Fame inductee. He is the second longest reigning NWA champion of all time, besides Lou Thesz. He won the title in 69 and held it for 4 years. Yeah, man. I mean, just one of the best. Trained by Pedro Morales, former WWE champion. So yeah, man. Dory Funk Jr. I actually saw Dory Funk Jr. last year's WrestleCon in Vegas. He was walking to his car, and I low key popped. I was like, "Holy crap, that's Dory Funk Jr." Like, just I'm a fan of the business, and you know, to see somebody of that ilk who did this at a time when it was presented as real as it can get, and just everything with it. It's a very sad time. R.I.P. to Dory Funk Jr.
Yeah, sad. I mean, lived to 85, had a good, long, interesting life. And I mean, the Funks are a legendary tag team, a legendary family, like the Cody Rhodes song says, you know, wrestling has more than one royal family. And Dory was just like the prototypical wrestler's wrestler back in the day. He was no nonsense. He got in there, he wrestled, he had, you know, good matches for his time. His character wasn't really over the top, which then blended well with Terry, who was kind of the wild child. He was, I mean, I think the modern, quote unquote, modern day equivalent would be like Matt and Jeff Hardy. Like, obviously, Jeff would be Terry, where he's like kind of the crazy one all over the place. And Dory's a little more even keel, a little more straightforward. But just that mix and that, you know, dynamic between them made them one of the greatest tag teams, one of the best brother tag teams of all time. And unfortunately, you know, like I said, passed away at an old age. So he had a good long life. But it is nice to kind of remember his legacy, because I think Terry is the bigger star to the more casual fan, and maybe just in general he probably is the bigger star. But Dory was, you know, the older one, and he was the one who kind of was the NWA champion and kind of the bigger deal for in his time in the early years.
Yeah, his last match was August 24th, 2024, in a Hell Current Exploding Death match, teaming with Nishimura going up against Onita and Yaguchi. Yeah. So, and then, great stuff. It says I didn't even know this, in 2020, Funk teamed with the Steiner brothers to defeat Blaine Rage, Jake Logan, and Shane Chugg at I guess it was a little show in Florida. Yeah, man, he was still lacing them up. 5 decades after he was the world's champion. Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Very, very sad day, man. I mean, I know we've lost a lot of legends, but he was kind of one of the last guys of that old guard and that elk that was still around. And yeah, man, if you guys go to these conventions, whether you're a fan or just a performer in the business, especially if you're a performer in the business, you know, go up to the people of that previous generation and the generation before them, shake their hand, and just tell them thank you for paving the way. That's what I try to do when I see these legends and things like that. But R.I.P. to Dory Funk Jr. Man, will you forever be missed? One of the toughest to ever do it, one of the best to ever do it. And speaking of one of the best to ever do it, Brock Lesnar, the Beast incarnate, has announced his retirement on Pat McAfee's show. He announced, "I am retired." Um, he said at WrestleMania when Obafemi slammed him down, he thought, "Man, I don't think I got another one of these in me." So he did, the whole retirement thing with the boots and everything, and then he went on to have two more with Oba, and then giving him the ultimate passing of the torch. This is the past, and this is the future. I mean, this is pro wrestling, never say never with the retirements, but if he is done, how do you sum up the career that Brock Lesnar had? I mean, sure they put out the retrospective and the career retrospective on WWE's YouTube channel. They played the video package on Monday Night Raw, but I mean, this is a guy that NCAA Division One heavyweight champion, obviously a WWE champion, walked on to the practice squad of the Minnesota Vikings, UFC heavyweight champion, went over to Japan, won the IWGP title, came back and decimated in WWE again, just and made becoming a part timer a norm in that aspect, man. How do you sum up Brock Lesnar?
I mean, it's kind of hard to sum up Brock Lesnar just because he is one of the most interesting stories, I think, in pro wrestling history. I mean, his intro of being a well-renowned, national champion wrestler, and that's kind of, I mean, we've seen wrestlers, amateur wrestlers transition into pro wrestlers, like, Chad Gable, obviously, but he's kind of one of those last, like, almost superstars because, early in those days, like, I mean, Dory Funk Jr., that era, a lot of the wrestlers or football players would go on and become pro wrestlers, and Brock was kind of like that last type to do something like that, who was like a big deal in his field. And I mean, he gravitated to it, like, him and Kurt Angle are like those two that are like they were naturals. And I've said on the podcast before, if, time machines or teleportation machines were a thing, Brock Lesnar might have been one of the greatest wrestlers of all time and had a 20-plus year career because he wouldn't have to deal with the travel and have to deal with all the headaches. He would just show up, wrestle, go home, and live on his farm. But that just
Yeah,
isn't the case.
that's the thing, right? He did it for 2 years. He's like, I think I'm done. I don't like to travel. Like, what? Like you're still young. He was like 27 at the time he left or whatever. Like it was crazy. And then he goes and does the UFC and everything like that. And then he comes back and I remember watching that episode of Raw, bro. I was living in Florida. And when that music hit, I just said, "Oh my God, the Beast is back." And then he went on to have that match with Cena in Elimination or Extreme Rules, which I still think Brock should have won. He's coming back to be that dominant figure, the UFC version of Brock Lesnar. And I mean, just from 2012 until now, I mean, just the things he did, decimating John Cena. I mean, the streak. He took the streak. I forgot that he bloodied Randy Orton at SummerSlam 2016 with those open elbows, man, and just holding the Universal title for as long as he did, and then being involved in the heist of the century with Rollins and Roman, and then the stuff with Roman Reigns and WrestleMania 34 when he won when we thought Roman was going to win, and then leading into the battles he had with Roman as the tribal chief, and returning at SummerSlam 2021 and going on the Cowboy Brock run that he did, ending Kofi Mania. I forgot. Brock in the Bank when he won the Money in the Bank and he turned into a boombox. Yeah, man. The 2020 Royal Rumble where it was eliminating everybody. Like, this is crazy. And then what it did for Drew and everything like that, and then leading to what he did for Obafemi, man. And I really thought about this, man. Brock was the last attraction. Like if we talk about attractions in this industry, Andre, but he's been long gone. Taker's retired. Brock was the last attraction in the game, man. So it's interesting to see who. I mean, nobody can fill the void, but who can step up or is Roman the attraction now?
I mean, Roman is an attraction. He is the biggest star they have, but there's just something about Brock Lesnar. And yes, maybe these last few years he maybe ran his course and people weren't as excited, and he had the long title reign and people didn't
Hey,
like him.
I don't want to hear excited, man. At the end of SummerSlam this year or last year, that crowd was so hot. Vince McMahon could have came back, and then when that music hit the people lost their minds. I talked to people that was there, and they said they have never heard a reaction like that ever. Crazy, crazy. But yeah, man. I mean, and then he like the part-time schedule that is around now. Like he kind of ushered that in because you think about it, UFC he was doing what 3 fights a year, and that's even kind of a lot. So like I'll come in, I'll do a program for like 2 months, and then I'll go home for three, and then come back. He worked that out. People got tired of it, but whenever that music hit, man, just they knew it was about to go down.
Yeah, and he's kind of one of the last wrestlers to kind of know his worth. I feel like a lot of wrestlers these days. I mean, I think Roman said it in his like in an interview years ago. He just says, "I do what I'm told and hope to get rich." And Brock Lesnar gets rich. Don't get me wrong, but he does what he wants, and I think maybe seeing what Stone Cold did on that fateful King of the Ring qualifying match where he walked out and Brock maybe learned a thing or two from that moment and was like, "Look, if you're not going to look out for yourself, no one else will." And Brock was, for better or for worse, looking out for himself, and he was able to do business and do what he thought was right. And I think maybe he had a little negative whatever stigma around him, like the Kofi Kingston stuff. That wasn't his call, but he was willing to do it. But then you see, he put over Obafemi strong at the end. He put over Cody last year, 2 years ago. So like, if Brock wants to do something, he is willing to do it.
And this is another thing. Brock Lesnar is one of the greatest sellers of all time, bro. Really watch like the. I loved when he worked smaller guys. Like we talked about him and Daniel Bryan last week. That's one of my favorites. Him and AJ Styles. Him and Finn Balor that they did that one Royal Rumble. Um, yeah, man. Brock working with smaller people. It's just like when it's time for him to sell, he will sell his ass off and make you look like $1 million. When Drew Claymore him out of the Rumble 6 years ago, he sold that Claymore for like 10 minutes on the ground like it was death. Like it just like yeah, man. When it comes time for him to do business for you, he will do it, and kind of nobody better at it if we can say that in the way that he does it.
I mean, Brock Lesnar might be the greatest big man wrestler in history, like just
Yeah,
in ring wrestler.
yeah. Let's throw him in there, man. Because I mean, because like, dude, when
Because
he
like I mean, you can say like a Bam Bam Bigelow or the Vaders or whoever, but like he was able to have a legitimate 20-year career, and he evolved. Like he was more of the wrestling machine in his first couple years, and he came back and he was more of the brawler, and then that kind of evolved into him being like the sprint of a matches, which started off with him and Goldberg, and
Suplex City.
all the evolutions of Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, man. If he's truly done, Brock Lesnar, I will say it. Thank you for what you did for the industry. Thank you for the contributions. And go rest on the farm, cowboy. The Motor City Machine Guns made their AEW debut last week after we'd already recorded Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin. This is kind of the last one they had to check off the list, right?
Yeah, I believe they did have like a little stint in AEW, but I think it was just like kind of a one-off. But it looks as though they're here in AEW. They made their debut at Collision, which was in Detroit, and they got a huge pop. And the tag team division, a little lacking, I think, in terms of like kind of that upper tier depth. There may be a new day upon us coming soon for AEW's tag team division, but we'll see.
You remember at one point in time when the AEW tag division was stacked, like when it was unreal.
Yeah, I mean, now, I mean, no disrespect to Cope and Cage, but they're the tag team
Hey,
champions.
look, bro. If we get, like, I never thought I'd say we'd get Edge and Christian versus the Motor City Machine Guns, but I'm here for it.
It looks like that's going to be the case. We'll get to the all-in predictions eventually. I am leaning towards them retaining, but I mean, if New Day is going to make their debut at Wembley, it makes more sense for the Young Bucks to be the champions. But um, yeah, I mean, Motor City Machine Guns, they still have something left in the tank. I think, we talked about Chad Gable. For him to be good, he needs to wrestle. And I think for Motor City Machine Guns, they, had that strong start. They won the championship like their first or second week there, and
Yeah.
then they weren't able to like have like good wrestling matches. They were just kind of doing those backstage stuff with Johnny Gargano, and that's not where they're thriving. They will thrive in the ring, and AEW given that time.
Well, I mean, they had good matches. Like they were. That's all that because those tag titles weren't on any pay per views for. It took like what 4 or 5 months, 6 months, and then they were just having those matches on SmackDown, where they were kind of like hot potato when the titles back and forth between all those guys.
and it culminated like in the ladder match at SummerSlam.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see what they do in AEW. Brie Bella apparently will be out for 3 to 6 months. This sucks, man. I just watched the Bella's vlog. I watched Nikki vlogging about her return in Oakland, and then Brie. So I guess it was the Russian leg sweep that broke her shoulder, and then Brie was talking about how like she feels bad, like she feels like she's messing up the match, and how she couldn't hit certain things because of her shoulder. I was like, oh, God. But hopefully it's a speedy recovery, and we can get the Bellas to have. I mean they're already Hall of Famers, but hey, man, I think like once Bree's healthy and they're both healthy at the same time, give them a run with the tag titles. That's kind of the one thing left that they need to do. And then I think that might be it for them. Rhea Ripley had knee surgery. I saw she put out a post of like first major injury in like her 14 years of being a active competitor. Yeah, man. So T's and P's of Rhea Ripley. Don't know how long she's going to be out. I mean, how long does it take to recover from was she tore her meniscus?
Something like that. So it seems as though it's,
6 months. All right.
fairly severe, but not as severe. Maybe some other knee injuries could be. But yeah, a little tough blow to the women's division in general. Luckily, Brie looks as though she's not going to have surgery. So I guess that means it's not going to be as long as it could be. But Rhea Ripley, obviously, one of the top women in that division, one of the top people in that company, and she was not unable to do anything after her WrestleMania win, really.
Yeah. Bianca Belair and Montez Ford announced the birth of their child. Congratulations to them. Hopefully they have a healthy baby. All right, let's get inside the ring now. WWE announced that Royal Rumble will be hailing from Phoenix, Arizona in February 2027.
February.
Yeah. Well, the
Royal Rumble's supposed to be in January.
the one Jey Uso one was February 1st.
I know. This is some bullshit. I need it to be in January.
Well,
We're already pushing and having SummerSlam be the beginning of August. It should be the end of August. SummerSlam should always be like the last weekend before you go back to school.
that's what it was. Yeah. Yeah. What's up, man? We're going to Royal Rumble. I haven't seen one live yet. Have you?
I have not. The Royal Rumble is kind of my last big
Yeah.
WWE checklist. I mean, you can put the Money in the Bank in there, but definitely Royal Rumble is one of the big four I have not seen yet.
You know what? Let's go to New Orleans. Let's go to New Orleans.
Well, I mean, I was supposed to go to New Orleans for a family trip, but then a little pandemic happened.
Hey, man.
Well,
But yeah, no, yeah, the Royal Rumble. I mean, that's the one thing I haven't seen live. That like a War Games and a Money in the Bank. But yeah, man, I'm excited. I saw a wrestler that's going to be doing some out there, so I may have to pop out and make an appearance. Edge to make his or Adam Copeland to make his Maple Leaf Pro debut. I think they've already sold out, so that's what's up.
yeah, Maple Leaf Pro has a little connection with AEW. They're going to be put on their streaming service, so no shock that Adam Copeland doing a little favor to Scott D'Amore and them over there, Maple Leaf Pro, and them doing some Canadian stuff. So should be a fun little time. Edge is or Copeland's doing, checking off some things he's never thought he'd be able to do. Arena Mexico this past Wednesday, Wembley coming up, and then now, wrestling for like a big time local Canadian indie.
Absolutely, absolutely. The Continental Cup. Talk about that while I answer this phone call.
Yes, the Continental Cup was something that Jon Moxley dropped last week on Dynamite when he was doing a promo backstage, and it was a good promo, but then Moxley dropped the Continental Cup and he was making it seem like everyone knew about this thing, which we didn't. And then they announced it on Collision and they kind of like fleshed it out a little bit. So we used to have the Continental Classic. Well, we still might have the Continental Classic. I don't know. At the end of the year, which is the round robin G1 style tournament. But this is the Continental Cup, which will conclude in at Wembley. And this one's kind of weird because it's kind of the same thing where it's single elimination, but there is no actual bracket for it. So there are 16 people. It's single elimination. Jon Moxley, the champion, Nigel McGuinness, Jay White, Brian Cage, Kyle O'Reilly, Katsuyori Shibata, Matt Sydal, Hitchser, Roderick Strong, David Finlay, Jack Perry, Claudio, Orange Cassidy, Ace Austin, Jake Doyle, and Eddie Kingston. And if you're thinking, man, that's not exactly the cream of the crop, well, you would be right. Um, and so, like I said, there's no bracket. It is just random draw. So we're gonna have 8 matches, but then they spin a wheel or whatever, random drawing, and then there's going to be four matches, and then they spin a wheel, random drawing, and then two matches, and those two face off in the championship. So kind of a strange format. The first off, they have Moxley and Jack Perry. It's kind of like the big match of like two people where you think maybe could have made a well. Obviously, I think Moxley's going to make a run unless they have him lose and tell that story. But a lot of these people doesn't really strike fear in you and get you like really excited. I mean, I would love Jay White to be doing something,
What's
but I
up
just
with the switchblade, bro? Are
brother,
people
you're
still
telling me.
are people still breathing with the switchblade, or is that like 6 years old?
Well, I mean, they're still doing like an offshoot of the Bullet Club, even though the Bullet Club isn't a thing anymore. But
Is the Bullet Club dead for real?
I believe the Bullet Club's dead. There's no more Bullet Club.
So then should we rename this?
Sure. What episode we at? Episode 500. Rename it. I mean, really, that's only a month away.
Oh Jesus! I don't know.
Got to get in the lab.
Yeah, gotta get in the lab. Oh man, that's great. I didn't know the Bullet Club is dead for real.
The damn shame.
It's a travesty. All right. Monday Night Raw.
I guess post SummerSlam.
Yes, post SummerSlam. The tribal chief, the head of the table, is out there talking. He allowed the people to sing Seth Rollins' song, and then L.A. Knight, walks out there. He says like, you owe me a fair shot. I don't care if we can do it tonight. We can do it at we can do it in New Orleans and Money in the Bank. We can do it at WrestleMania, but at some point in time, you owe me a fair shot. The Roman just he gets on him like, I go come out there and ask for a title shot with a Walmart watch on. Roman Reigns' watch that he had on cost $500,000. Crazy.
Which, if you're trying to relate to the every fan, I don't think going after LA Knight's watch
He's
is
not.
exactly the thing.
He's not trying to relate to the every fan. He said he's the last superstar here. No every fan can relate to being the last superstar somewhere.
And that's like, what is the Roman Reigns like? What are they doing with him? Like, are they soft launching a quote unquote heel turn? No, maybe not a heel turn, but just soft launching him to be the bad guy going up against Obafemi at WrestleMania.
I
Like,
I don't know about that because they did the backstage segment and Roman was saying like, I mean, people coming out here and stuff like that. I'm trying not to go back to my old ways. So I don't know.
I mean, I thought it was an interesting dynamic because the crowd was like really behind LA Knight, and not saying they were against Roman, but you can tell like Roman isn't like the hot OTC, like, oh my God, I can't believe he's here act that he has been. Now, people still like, throwing the ones up and acknowledge him and all that stuff, but, we see in WWE that crowds like doing the crowd stuff. And so it's kind of hard to, you gotta like look in the nooks and crannies to see exactly how they feel when they're doing segments like this, because I think that's when you can gauge how a crowd actually feels about a person. And I feel Roman's a little, not, I don't want to say cooled off, but I feel like the crowd isn't like behind him, is making me think this is on purpose. Like they're trying to go in that direction, which I don't think is a great thing because Roman Reigns is the biggest star they have, and I feel like you should protect him and make him a big deal. But I don't know. And LA Knight's not winning, so that's why it's like you're doing all this to maybe get people behind LA Knight and maybe boo or not like Roman that much when Roman's just gonna still hold the championship at the end of the day, probably.
I mean, look, LA Knight gets a fair shot. Roman beats him clean. We could be done with it. But Roman Reigns, he may not even wrestle LA Knight because after Jacob, we're going to talk about what Jacob Fatu did to Royce Keys. But after that, Roman goes to the back. Rey Mysterio says, "Hey man, I'm not just a wrestler. I'm the general manager of AAA." So, September 14th in Mexico City, Roman Reigns will defend the World Heavyweight Championship against the winner of a tournament. It's going to be the luchadors from AAA, Raw, and SmackDown uh, live in Mexico City. This is massive, man. It's massive. It's a massive announcement.
Yeah, leader in the clubhouse seems to be Grande Americano, which would make
But,
sense.
but if he goes after Dom and beats him, you can't just have him lose right then and there to the Tribal Chief. I think it might be Penta.
I mean, I think the crowd would be more behind Grande Americano, but that's the thing is like I'm not gauged with like the Mexican fan because like if you're a WWE Mexican fan, I would assume you probably are also a AAA fan, and so I think Grande Americano is probably a bigger star and a bigger deal to you right now than Penta is. but like Penta's obviously more of the bigger person on WWE television. So it's a kind of a weird dynamic when you got AAA and WWE, but then they're in
Dragon Lee.
Mexico.
There you go.
Just
Dragon Lee.
yeah, well, I've been barking up that Dragon League tree for some time, and it ain't gonna happen.
He's your favorite King of the Indies woman.
Brother couldn't even get an entrance at WrestleMania.
He
I mean,
wrestled.
he got an entrance, just not televised.
He wrestled at WrestleMania.
He did. He was in that was it IC ladder match? It's exactly. Don't remember that. And that happened what 3 months ago, 4 months ago.
Jesus. Okay. Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens with that. Jacob Fatu makes Royce Keys bleed with the Tonga death grip. They have a street fight, and then Jacob Fatu locks on that Tonga death grip. Royce Keys is coughing up blood. And then Roman Reigns music hits, and he puts the one up, and they acknowledge each other.
Yeah, another one of those things where how is the crowd like really supposed to feel about this person? Because they like Fatu, they don't care too much about Royce Keys, unfortunately, just because they haven't really given him like a story and like really a a character, I would say. Besides, he's a big tough guy from the streets of East Palo Alto.
Yes.
And then Roman comes out, and after Fatu like kills like his best friend, basically, Roman just like accepts him and just says like, "Yes, good boy," and like that doesn't seem like a good person, but it's Roman Reigns, and I guess all rules of conventional baby faces or people we're supposed to like are thrown out the window here in WWE.
I
And then
mean,
he kind of like downplayed the Rey Mysterio thing. It was like, oh yeah, I do now. I now know that you're the AAA general manager because you just told me because I don't watch the product. He's like Brock Lesnar.
do you think Roman Reigns is watching AAA?
I mean, I'm not saying he's there. I'm not watching every week AAA, but I knew that Rey Mysterio was the GM
Oh,
of AAA.
yeah, Roman Reigns says he is
He's
the
got bigger
Jordan.
fish to fry. He's doing Street Fighter. He's doing whatever else he'd be
The
doing.
Jordan's out. He's doing all these appearances. He has like 5 or 6 kids. Roman Reigns is doing a lot right. He has to worry about what's going on within the bloodline. He's got a lot. We got a lot going on. So if he didn't know that Rey Mysterio was the general manager of AAA, oh, I'm sorry.
Well, just for him to destroy Grande Americano in Mexico.
Yeah, that's gonna happen. Obafemi stares down Braun Breaker.
Yeah, I mean that's a fun little kind of interim feud as we're on the road to WrestleMania, I guess, for Obafemi. That at one point was a really big deal of like the future, but I mean Oba's just kind of like lapped Braun Breaker and Trick Williams now at this point. Uh,
Hey man, we still whooping that trick. Hold on, man.
Braun's kind of been the background character for this whole American Alpha thing. I like I don't know why he's not more of a focal point. Like he came back from his injury, had the feud with Seth, and just hasn't like done anything on it. Maybe it's just because since Logan Paul's are injured, he's kind of has to be in the tag team, and he can't like kind of do anything else right now. So you know, Oba's just gonna kill him and move on, stack and smash.
Oh, the Oba's gonna kill Braun Breaker. So Obafemi was just like he was going to Chinchilla's funeral.
I mean, he had that ish on.
He did have that issue. Um, Liv Morgan, with the Judgment Day celebrating their title wins. Liv Morgan's the greatest women's world champion of all time. Then the man comes around. Becky Lynch returns. Becky Lynch says, "You're not even the best champion in your own group. You're not even the best world champion that slept with Dominic Mysterio." I said, "Oh,
Which that line has been taken out of Netflix.
that was hilarious, though. That was hilarious. That was a good one."
I don't know why they did that, but
And actually, why were they censoring Brock Lesnar's shirt that was already censored? You know? Yeah. And then as she's leaving, that fire hitting Stephanie McCare is back, taking
the internet loved that.
it to the Judgment Day, and then Becky and Stephanie
Steph, of course.
shut it down. Yeah.
Yeah, nice to see Becky Lynch and Stephanie back. Becky Lynch is, I'd say, clearly a babyface in her return. They had a little bit of a stare down with Stephanie and Becky, so I don't know, just two people kind of going after the same goal. So I don't want to read too much into what was going on and what was said between them. I think it was just they both want the championship, and only one of them can have it. And nice to see Stephanie back. Hopefully she can stay healthy and they can do something. Maybe that was the reason why Io did not win, but hopefully Io bounces back. We had another return though. Big Cass, no Enzo, came out and killed Javon Evans after a solid match with was it Ethan Page, and he just came out, attacked Javon, had a promo backstage, and just said it's nothing personal. It's just what he's got to do because he was at rock bottom. I thought this was a fairly underwhelming return for Big Cass. Like I know people were expecting maybe Enzo to come out and we run back the greatest hits and stuff. I don't mind it just being Big Cass as a singles because I thought he was doing good work in AEW as a singles guy, and so I think he's kind of found his voice and found his
Hill?
act. But this was like kind of really uninspiring. It was very similar to Baron Corbin, and in the eyes of the casual WWE fan, they're kind of on that same level. So I mean, you got one on Raw, one on SmackDown, and we'll kind of see where they both go from here. And I mean, honestly, Big Cass, if he's only there to eventually like get built up and then lose to Obafemi, I think that's perfectly fine. Because if you're in the Obafemi business, which I think they are, you got to build some people up. And there's not too many people as big as Obafemi, and Big Cass is one of them.
See the internet talking about how Michael Cole's the only one to hype this up.
Well, because there was nothing to get hyped about. Shout out Mojarelli. I saw he like cut his hair, or he
Oh,
grew his hair out and then he cut it for like kids wigs or something.
that's, I didn't even know that's great.
There you go. Shout out
Oh,
Mojarelli.
the internet's talking about how Corey Graves didn't say a word.
Well, sometimes good commentators know when not to talk.
AEW.
Just like speaking of AEW, we had Mystico. He was at Arena Mexico because this was a Grand Slam Mexico, and Nigel McGuinness said, it's the easiest job in the world. Mystico's out there because they just let the crowd sing a song. But yeah, AEW Grand Slam Mexico. After I thought a stellar post pay-per-view show. This one, I don't think it was a bad show, but it was just kind of a wrestling show. They were just, wrestling a lot. Hold on, Philip. I have to take this phone call real quick. Okay, everyone, I'm back. I'm sorry. Your boy, breaking news. May or may not be having a new job, so I'm doing official shit right now, and then there was something happened, so. But I'm here. So yeah, AEW Dynamite took place in Mexico. I don't know exactly what Philip was saying, but it was a bunch of matches for the most part. Death Riders defeated Edge and Christian and the Young Bucks. Match was perfectly fine. There was some bad things, some miscommunication between Edge and Christian and the Young Bucks. So just
Or did
kind of,
she do a 619?
it wasn't exactly a 619 to steal a joke from uh, Sean Ross Sapp was more of a 309.5, but
Are we
uh,
telling jokes from SRS now?
I know. I got a chuckle out of that. I was like, oh,
Persephone wrestled in. We're not even talking about this.
Persephone did wrestle in Mexico and
The
she won.
springboard frog splash. There's no referee. She's wrestling Chris Statlander.
The WWE allegedly is very perplexed on their lack of push of Persephone in AEW.
Hey, Persephone, CMLL Women's World Champion forever.
Yeah, and then we had Andrade win the number one slot in the Casino Gauntlet match at All In. So whoever wins that's going to be the number one contender for the championship. And we get the return of Maxwell Jacob Freeman. Still no word or reason for why he was not on Redemption and the match got moved up with him and Kenny. But he came back, cut a promo, just very straightforward, angry, saying he wants his title back. He's still the real world champion, so I guess he's running back what CM Punk did at Wembley. And kind of a strange match, I would say, for MJF to be in. Like, I get it. You want to have some bigger names. Like I just complained about the Continental Cup, not having anybody of note. But yeah, just strange that you're probably your top or second to top guy in the company is not having like a real marquee match on your biggest show of the year. Fletcher and Speedball Mike Bailey had a really good match in for the continent. No, the international championship. Too many titles, and what you expect, hard hitting, good stuff. Fletcher wins, yada yada yada. We get the new trios champion, the Demand Phillip. I know you probably had some choice words. 1 week title reign as trios champions, just for them to lose to Brodito and Hangman Page.
I'm tired of hearing people complain about Sammy now. I mean, this is 1 week. Are we in the Attitude Era again?
that it was perplexing at first of why they put the titles on him. Not that they're not talented, but it was kind of like out of nowhere a little bit, and then it made sense that now they just took the championships off the baby faces to put it on heels for then another babyface team to then beat them.
Well, I mean, let the established team at least have a couple month run.
Yeah, but and also the thing of Hangman Page literally just came back from losing his match to say he can't challenge for a title again. And then Hangman Page said he's going to try to focus and win after other titles. And not saying this needed to be like a 2 year story of him trying to win a championship for the first time, but I mean, pretty much his
Well,
first match back and he wins a championship. That kind of like defeats the whole purpose of everything.
do you remember that storyline they did in TNA when AJ Styles lost and he couldn't challenge for the world title for like a year? Can we do something like that?
I think at the end of the day, they will have like a reasoning behind this. Like if we look back in a few, like 5 years, let's say,
Can challenge for singles titles?
I think they're probably going to I think they're going to do something to where like he technically doesn't challenge for the championship, but the champion challenges him, or he turns heel and just goes back on his word. But I feel as though if you're going to do a stip like this, Tony Khan's the type of person to have a reasoning for it. He's not just gonna like. There's no reason you should pull like one of your top guys from that pool for such a long time after he just learned after he did it with Cody and like got zero return from it. And then main event was Will Ospreay and Mark Davis in a street fight, and this was bloody. This was hardcore. This was all over the place and kind of unnecessary in my opinion. Like I get it from a storyline perspective. Mark Davis beat Ospreay and he's trying to get his win back, and it's a rivalry and they're friends going back a long time. But Ospreay is one half of your main event, and you're putting him in a street fight like 3 weeks out. Now he didn't get hurt, so you can say like, oh yeah, it was all it was a good decision. But like, let's say he did get hurt and he put that match in question. I feel like this match was not that big or that necessary to put that match with Kenny Omega in jeopardy. Because like, I would not think Kenny Omega's going to have a match until All In because the story is Ospreay wants Kenny to be healthy. Now, it'd be very ironic if Ospreay does all this and he is not the one that's healthy going into the match. But I thought it was just very AEW kind of at its worst of just kind of doing too much. And there was a bunch of matches on this show, just a lot of high spots, a lot of stuff. Whatever like the people say about AEW like being too much, I would say this was kind of like Exhibit A of that. And it was a fun show. It was great atmosphere being in Arena Mexico, but kind of a lot for a regular everyday Dynamite show. So sorry for the interruption, but that was your Dynamite recap.
Shout out, man. Shout out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Oasis Pro presents We Active this Friday night at the Grand Temple Arena, 1275 San Pablo Ave, Berkeley, California. You got Journey Fatu going up against Keyshawn Calloway, the Mob Defensive Trios titles against AD Cass. Oak goes up against Jules Rules, the Dark Side versus the Pump Line. The Indigenous One, Tamiko Fatu will be in the building. The Melanin Empire, Melanin Mafia have a contract signing to determine what match they have on August 22nd. Winner gets an opportunity at the Trios titles. And then can Marquee Mia Sweets do the unthinkable and dethrone the Pacific Sea champion, the Punjabi Lion? Chima has been on a tear since January when he won the title in Vegas. Can she do the unthinkable? All that and more. 1275 San Pablo Avenue, Grand Temple Arena, Oasis Pro, We Active. Doors are at 7. Bell time is 8. You don't want to miss it, ladies and gentlemen. That is going to do it for us. As always, be safe and stay dangerous. We'll be back with another show next week. Yes, sir.